Hey everybody, welcome back to Jessica's Reading Room. My name is Kim and we are here for the August book wrap-up video. Now, I do need to apologize due to the timing of this video because unfortunately we are a little later than we're supposed to be, and we can blame that on Hurricane Dorian. So thank you, Hurricane Dorian, for that. Because, I mean, at least with Flo, it wasn't very anticlimactic. If you remember Hurricane Florence, I mean, I was out of power for like a week and none of you had heard from me in seriously that time because all the cell towers were down and there was no power and there was no internet. Yeah, so when Dorian came through, we were all like freaking out thinking, oh my gosh, we're gonna have another Florence and this is gonna be awful and what are we gonna do? And so we all stocked up on all this crazy amount of supplies. I mean, you have no idea how much stuff I bought and how much food we now have, and not even the healthy kind. You know, like the hurricane snack kind where you get fat off of it. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, that's right. So now we have all that in my house. Then find out that Ivan is actually going to be working through the hurricane. And so then he says, well, I don't want you here by yourself. So I think you need to drive up to your parents' house. So I packed up half of the supplies that we had bought, packed up poor Joe Christopher and all of his junk, drove an hour away up to stay with my parents' house, and we had a thunderstorm with wind. And that was pretty much it. They did lose power. So I left my house, which did not lose power, FYI, and went up there to stay with them, and they lost power. And I was able to come home the day after the storm hit. So, yeah. And I was gonna do this book haul up there, and then I got halfway there and realized that I forgot to bring the books that I had read for August. So it's been a really weird week. It's been one of those weeks, you know what I'm talking about? One of those weeks where like it just, yeah. So my anxiety level is like up to here. My exhaustion level is also up to here, and okay. And then we had it, and then it was incredibly anticlimactic, and nothing actually happened, and so it was like, okay, all right, well. See, and then the problem is that then next year there's going to be another hurricane, and we're all going to say, dang, you remember Hurricane Dorian, how it wasn't any big deal? They claimed it was going to be a Category 2 by the time it hit landfall. And you remember how that was nothing? And so we're not going to prepare for it. And then we're going to have another Hurricane Florence where we run out of food and water and no power for a week. Because that's just the way my life is. So, I mean, I told Ivan we needed to move someplace where they never have hurricanes. And so we're going to move to Aruba. If you want to come visit us, by all means, come visit us, because apparently hurricanes never hit Aruba. So I don't know. Okay. All right. Anyways, now that we've had that weather discussion. Oh, and I have to show you my shirt. Okay. Yes, I did actually position the camera so you could see it, but isn't this the coolest thing? It's from the Anastasia cartoon. You know, the part where the chick walks in and Dimitri and Vlad are auditioning people. She walks in and she like drops this fur coat. She's like, Grandma, it's me, Anastasia. You know that part? When I saw this shirt, I had to get it because I'm that, you know, okay. I don't know why that would surprise you, but okay. Anyway, so I had to show you the shirt because it's freaking brilliant and I love it. And it just, there you go. Shout out to Hot Topic for having awesome stuff. So, okay. Now, this is a book wrap-up video, so we are actually going to talk. I realized that we just spent 4 minutes talking about nothing book-related whatsoever. It's going to be a weird video, okay? Weird video to fit a weird week. I don't know. It's just the way it is. Okay, so what did Kim read for the month of August? Well, let's just jump right into it, shall we? First, I read The Rooming Diaries, Love, Life, and Secrets by Bill Mathis. He actually sent me a copy of this book for free and wanted a review on it, so I read it, and I will say it was actually a pretty good book. There were some little historical things in it that I was just kind of like, I just realized that there's nothing on this side, so I should like hold it up here to hide this whole section of background that's, am I centered in the camera? I don't even know. See, this is what happens. I get thrown off, and so then my ADD comes out, and it's, whew. Anyways, you guys, whew. Can you help me stay focused, please? Because we got to get through this. Okay, I even put makeup on and everything for this. So we're going to be serious, all right? Anyways, so The Rooming Diaries by Bill Mathis is basically a multi-generational story based around this family who owns a boarding house in Chicago. Chicago? Oh, I'm pretty sure it's Chicago. Yes, it is Chicago. Oh, boy. See, I lose details the longer I wait to talk about stuff. But yes, it is in the city of Chicago. We start out with a pair of immigrants who came in from Poland and their story of actually being able to buy this rooming house and build it and start it into, you know, an actual, you know, rooms for rent type place. And so then it's all written in diary form from all the people who are either members of this family or came in contact with the family. And I have to say, it was actually really good. I mean, it's a pretty thick book. And so at first I was like, oh gosh, this is going to take forever. But I actually got really emotionally involved in the family with all these people and, you know, the circumstances of their lives. Like I said, I did have some kind of things in the historical sense. But I'll talk, you'll read that in my review. Has the review been posted? I don't even know. I don't know. But if it has, you can go back and read it and see what I'm talking about when I say the historical issues. But overall, I really enjoyed this book. It was good. It was fun. I mean, we're talking about a story that spans decades, and I really enjoyed it. I got very emotionally involved. I was almost in tears by the time I was done because I was like, oh, this family is just such a nice family. I want to find out more about them. And it was really, really good. So bravo, Bill Mathis. Excellent multi-generational story. Got me completely emotionally involved and very, very good book. So there you go. The Rooming Diaries. All right, next we have The Orphan of Salt Winds by Elizabeth Brooks. This was actually our neighborhood book club's pick for July. No, for August. Oh my gosh. For August, where this was August. I already got September's. Okay, all right, see? We got this. Everything's fine. Anyway, I picked this out because I read the synopsis. It sounded really good. And then I sat and I read it, and it wasn't as good as the description said it was. And that's what's so sad is that all of us in the club, by the time we met, we kind of all sat there and we were like, did you like this story? And they're like, well, we liked it until the end. And that's kind of the thing. I mean, this had so much potential to it. It really did. I mean, it had the mystery. It had that enchanted feeling to it because this orphan who actually comes to live at this house on one of the marshes in, I believe it's Wales. Is it Wales or is it actually England? I'm not even sure. But it starts out with her opening her door and finding this little bird skull, and now she knows it's time for her to go walk out on the moor and it's time for her to die. So the entire book is set up to explain to you who sent this little bird skull. Why does she have to go out on the marsh and die? What is so significant about that? And then by the time the book was over, you're going, I still don't know. Why? And like I said, the book had so much potential and the pacing and, the suspense, it was all there. And I mean, she did this thing where every other chapter was a different time period. So just when you'd finish one chapter that's happening in the modern day, as soon as the chapter ends, you go back in time. And so you've got to wait a whole nother chapter to find out what's going on. So you're going, I have to find out what's happening. And you're turning the pages and you're reading through it. And then you get to the end and you're just, why? What was the point of all of this? I still don't understand. Not the questions. I mean, I still have questions, and not even questions that are not meant to be answered. Because you heard me say that with The Haunting of Hill House, where there's things that you didn't, the information that was not given, but it wasn't supposed to be given. But the problem is that these questions, which the entire book is supposed to be answering, and then by the time you're done, there's no answer. And I'm serious. I loved it all the way up until the last chapter. I really liked this book until I got to the end. And I felt really bad because, like I said, I really liked it. I wanted to know what was going on. I wanted to see what happened. And then nothing. And it was such a letdown, and it made my heart hurt. Because you know how I am with things like that. When I feel incomplete, my heart hurts. So, and it really sucks too, because look at how beautiful that cover is. And I mean, the Orphan of Salt wins. It sounds so beautiful and mysterious, and then it was so anticlimactic. Okay. All right, next we have The Bookish Life of Nina Hill by Abby Waxman. Loved this book so much. Oh my gosh. I cannot even tell you how much I adored this book. I actually first saw this book all the way back when we were in Nashville. Oh, I just kicked the chair with the camera. My bad. Okay, there we go. All right, sorry about that. Anyway, we went to visit the fabulous bookstore called Parnassus Books in Nashville. And I saw it and I read the back and I was like, dude, this totally sounds like something I would like. So I bought it. Not from Parnassus, unfortunately, but I did buy it from Amazon. Which I'm very sorry, Parnassus Books, for not buying this book at your store, because I do love your store. And if you're ever in Nashville, go visit because it's brilliant. Anyways, so this book is all about Nina, who's got this life that she absolutely loves in Los Angeles. She works at a bookstore. She has her trivia nights with her friends. She's got a very set schedule for her life. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. She's got a planner that she lives by. And when I say lives by, I mean she legit lives by this planner. She does not like to be flexible. She doesn't like change. She likes being in perfect control of her life. And I can identify with that, considering that I suck at doing things like daily planners and inspiration boards and all that. I can still identify with her being the person who just loves to go home and just sit and read. Not having to talk to anybody, not having to deal with anything. She just goes home to her comfy chair where she sits and she reads her book with her cat. I mean, sounds like something I would do, right? But then I also identified with the fact that in any conversation, she's the one to break into some explanation of some completely trivial fact that no one has ever actually heard of, but she learned it along the way somehow. And so she goes into this lengthy conversation and everyone just stares at her like she's weird. Happens to me all the flippin' time. All the time. Okay, that's just the way it is. And my family and Ivan have gotten to the point where they know that I'm about to launch into some explanation, and they just kind of cut it off. And they're like, okay, all right, let's move on to something else. And they also have to tell me to be quiet during Jeopardy because I like to yell out the answers really loudly. And nobody likes it because I usually answer the question before they do. So it kind of ruins it for everybody. So anyway, so yes, she's that introverted book nerd who totally, I identified with her. I mean, and you guys know that I'm not really all that big into identifying with characters. That's not why I go into books to read them. If it happens, great. But like I said, I don't look for books where I can identify with the protagonist. With Nina, holy crap, it was like looking at myself, just a cooler version of myself. Because I mean, she lives in Los Angeles. She's got this absolutely gorgeous guest house that she lives in. She works at a bookstore. I mean, all I have to admit is that my bookshelves are cooler than hers, and that's about all I have to say with that. But she's still cooler than I am, and I'm totally accepting of that because I don't want to move to Los Angeles. That sounds really awful. Ooh, rabbit trail. Anyway, so Nina actually finds out that when her father dies, who she had never met before, that he leaves her things in his will, and also he has this huge family that she didn't know anything about, and so now she's thrown into this world of tons and tons of relatives when she grew up as the only child of a single mother who is this award-winning photojournalist person. And yeah, that's it. She spent her entire life pretty much by herself, and now she realizes she has this huge family and she doesn't know how to deal with it. And so basically this entire book is, Nina learning how to accept, how messy life can get, how you can't be in control of absolutely everything, and all while being super nerdy. And I thought it was really, really cute. And I'm pretty sure that like everybody who is a fan of Jessica's Reading Room is reading this book. I know Jessica's reading it. I think Becky said that she was reading it, I think. Did Yami say she was going to read it too? I don't even know. And who knows? I don't even know. Okay, I lost track. I know it's on sale on Amazon. At least last time I checked, it's like $7 on Amazon. So if you want to go get it because it is brilliant. And this cover, it's like so super colorful and beautiful. And anyway, I just really loved this book. I thought it was brilliant. I mean, honestly, it's easily one of my favorites of the year so far. Like, I just thought it was really good, and I absolutely recommend it to all of you book nerds out there who are the introverts and people tell you to be quiet because you know all the random trivial facts that no one actually cares about. because that's me. All right, next we have Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I have the 3-book collection, and I will admit that I did actually buy this. It is considered, oh, let's not do the glare. There we go. This is actually the movie tie-in edition, which I actually watched the movie first. There is going to be a book to film adaptation comparison video coming out soon, which I'm actually going to be doing as soon as I'm done with this video. Woohoo! Anyway, so I watched the movie. Ivan and I went to go see it. The preview looked really good. We watched it, and I have to say, I mean, I really, really liked it. I thought the movie was absolutely fantastic. And so then I said, okay, well, now I need to actually read the stories that inspired this movie. And when I read the stories, I have to admit, my feelings about the movie did not change. We'll get into that with the comparison video. But now just talking about the book, I mean, this collection is absolutely brilliant. And considering who they're written for, I mean, I will admit, when I was sitting there reading that, I was not on the edge of my seat, completely freaked out, like, oh my gosh, these stories are so scary. That's not really what I was, what I was doing, but they were chilling, they were creepy, and considering the fact that they were written for kids, the kind of things that you would read to kids, it was perfect. I mean, as soon as we have kids, which hopefully will not be for like another 25 years, I plan on reading these books to my kids and scaring the crap out of them so they end up as horror freaks like their father and I. Because we're just weird like that, I guess. But no, I really liked it. The collection itself, I mean, the stories were creepy. They were the kind of thing where you're just going, well, that was scary. But then you don't go home and sleep with the lights on, like some books make me do. But the illustrations were really cool. I mean, the fact that, look, because you've got some illustrations from the movie, which, listen, I get it. We are not the kind of people who like, putting the movie cover onto a book. However, like I said, I think the movie did a really great job with it. So putting the actual movie pictures on here, I was actually okay with. I hope that doesn't turn me, make me into a bad book nerd. I'm trying to be more open-minded, and I don't know if it's working, but I'm trying. So, yeah. Like I said, this is a weird video. I'm feeling all kinds of weird things this week. It's just an odd week. Okay, next. This might possibly be my favorite cover of the year so far. And that's saying something, because I thought I had already identified my favorite cover of the year. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that this one is definitely my favorite. Wilder Girls by Rory Power. Oh my gosh. If you don't like this cover, then you're weird. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. If you don't like this cover, then you have no place at Jessica's reading room, because we have taste here. I'm just kidding. We have different tastes here. Suleika and I can totally identify with that, because she and we totally identified this month that we have completely different tastes, and yet we're still okay with each other. I love you. Okay. See, before I talk about this book, I will say this. We should totally have you guys ever watched Drunk History, where whoever it is, whether it's a historian or a comedian or a celebrity or whoever, and they start drinking and then they tell this story about something that happened in history, and it's flippin' hilarious? We should totally do something like that, just with like book explanations. Like maybe one time, if I do another, oh, so sorry, I have something in my nose. Gosh, what the heck? This really is the weirdest monthly video we've had in a while. Whew, anyway. So maybe if we find another book to movie comparison video, I should just do it while I'm drunk. I mean, that would probably be flippin' hilarious, and you guys would laugh, hopefully, because I'm a funny drunk. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm making sure I don't have a booger up my nose hanging out, so you guys don't have to see that, because that would be really embarrassing. Okay. Anyway, so that might be something to keep, to put a pin into. And if you guys would like to see that, tell us down in the comments, and we may have to do it for you, because that would probably be hilarious. So there you go. Okay, anyway, so now let's get into Wilder Girls by Rory Power. I will say that this synopsis had me from the second that I read it. It is a private girls' school on an island off the coast of Maine, I believe. It's somewhere up in New England. They are not allowed to leave the island because they have all been infected with a virus. Now, at first I was thinking, oh great, this is going to be another zombie movie or a zombie book. I mean, dang, if I want a zombie book, I could just read The Girl with All the Gifts. I love that book so much. So why all the zombie stuff? However, this is a completely new take on it. I wouldn't even necessarily call this a zombie book, just because the actual symptoms that they are presented with, they're not the same thing. I mean, okay, I guess you could kind of sort of call it zombie-like, but it's not about zombies, if that makes any kind of sense. Let me make sure that I actually have all of my names correctly. Anyway, so this sickness, it's called the tox. It actually presents itself in many different ways. You know, within the population of the school, girls are dying. They end up having these weird attacks every once in a while, and where their symptoms flare up, and they have to manage, you know, they have to figure out how to live through it. You have the government who is constantly sending supplies in, promising that they are coming for these girls, that they are trying to develop a cure. And basically, it's a story about the girls' the girls' lives throughout this process. And I have to say, it's really fascinating seeing their relationships kind of adapt to this new world of dealing with the tox and all of this. I will say that the one thing I think I only gave it 4 stars out of 5, which hurt my heart so much because I loved this story so much. It's just, when we got to the ending, there was this big glaring hypocritical thing that I'm not going to tell you about, so you'll just have to read it so then you can see what I'm talking about. But I really, really loved this book. I loved the setting. I loved how they took, you know, your typical zombie infection and they twisted it into something different and something new. And I really liked it. I have this feeling that there are going to be plenty of people who say, well, it's just a new twist on an old, on an old thing. And I get that, but it's just that I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I mean, like I said, this cover is absolutely gorgeous. I enjoyed, excuse me, I enjoyed getting to know these characters. I enjoyed watching, the progression, not only of the talks, but of the girls and, their maturity levels and their, awareness of what's going on around them. And it's just really cool. It's a really, really good book. And I hope you guys pick it up because it's awesome. There you go. Okay. Next we have The Daughter's Tale by Armando Lucas Correa. I don't know. Anyway, this is a World War II story. I have been wanting to get this book for a very, very long time. I mean, the cover is absolutely beautiful. Basically what happens is this 80-something-year-old woman, a woman and her daughter knock on her door saying that they have a whole pile of letters for her that they found at their home in Cuba. And so basically, it's this family saga of some Jews who were arrested during the Holocaust, a mother who continues to write, to a daughter who she helped escape into Cuba before she could be arrested and sent to a concentration camp. I will say that it's a good book. It's just a little on the snooty side. And I really hate saying that because it's not my place to judge victims of the Holocaust and how they managed to make it through the Holocaust. It just seemed really snooty. And I said this in my review, I'm not sure that Holocaust survivors really spent that much time poetically identifying their feelings while in a cattle car. It just felt like it was too highbrow for the story. Does that make sense? Again, I don't want to insult, Holocaust survivors, how they managed to survive, people who were in the middle of the Holocaust. Again, that's not my place to do so. It just, by the time it was over, I was just kind of like, is that really how Holocaust survivors were? I mean, I've heard, I've met Holocaust survivors. I've listened to their stories, you go to the Holocaust Museum in DC, you listen to testimonials. You know, I taught the Holocaust for 3 years, and it just never, it was never this highbrow, if that makes any kind of sense. I feel really bad for saying it, but it was. And it felt far more like Mr. Korea was trying to write this sweeping, epic poem, and it just didn't seem to fit the story. You know what I mean? So while I enjoyed reading it, it's just not my favorite Holocaust book, if that makes any kind of sense. I have this feeling that there are some people who really enjoy historical fiction who would probably enjoy this book, and I hope very much you do. It's just, I have honestly a whole list of other books about World War II and about the Holocaust that I would recommend before I recommended this one. But you can look at the gorgeous cover, and the cover is absolutely gorgeous, and it does fit the story. So there you go. All right, so The Daughter's Tale by Correa. If you want to read it, please try it. And if you have read it, I would love to know your opinion, because I have no problem admitting that there's probably just something wrong with me as opposed to the book. So, like I said, I'm trying to be open-minded. I don't know if it's working, but I'm trying. Okay, so next we have The Way, Age of Darkness by Cole Alexander Higgins. He and his publisher actually sent me a copy of this book for free in exchange for a review. I will say that this book was very fascinating. It is a graphic novel. Oh, the card fell out, sorry. Most of the book is one word per page with illustrations. That's just kind of how the book is. I will say that I was probably not the best person to send this to, because you guys know that I am too shallow of a person to usually grasp underlying philosophies in a book. So I have this feeling that I probably didn't get everything that the author was trying to say in this book. However, I did find it to be fascinating. Obviously, with one word per page, it was very quick to go through. And I appreciated that, because, I mean, you know, this kind of thing, it could have gone on forever and ever and ever, and I would have just sat there going, the hell is going on here? Because that's just, you know, like I said, I'm shallow like that. However, the author did not drag it out like crazy. You still kind of got the semblance of a story that you were, you know, that he was kind of setting up through the illustrations. However, this is one of those books where it's more about what the reader brings to it. I mean, if he publishes a volume 2, because I believe this is volume 1, I would actually be interested in reading volume 2. Just because I would like to continue to try and understand it. Because like I said, it was actually pretty fascinating. It's just, if you're looking for some kind of, you know, really engaging book where you've got tons of stories and plot, you know, great plot twists and, you know, characters that you can get super emotionally involved with, it's not this. This is definitely one of those deep philosophical things that I promise you I did not get the entirety of it. However, it was still very fascinating. I'm glad I read it. If there is a volume 2, I would very much be interested in reading it. It's just, going into it, you have to realize that you are going to bring so much more to it, and you have to kind of be open to that, if that makes any kind of sense. I was fascinated by it. I really was. It was an interesting experience, and it was different from what I normally read, so I did very much enjoy it. It's just, I don't know if I got it. I'm sorry, it is not Mr. Higgins' fault, okay? It really isn't, because I'm sure he is like a super deep person, and he's probably super cool and like super artsy, and I'm just not. So I'm sorry. I gave it 3 stars. I still say, you know, why not give it a chance? It's interesting. It's different. So there you go. There it is. Okay. And then, not lastly, I also read We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I listened to it on audio. It was actually really, really good. I have not written the review for that yet. Thank you for reminding me. It's basically about these 2 sisters and their uncle who live in a house. They try to stay completely out of the outside world, not due to some family history and some, I don't know if I would necessarily call it mental illness, but I guess some developmental and emotional disabilities on the part of the younger sister. I will say, it's one of those things where it's definitely a darker look at humanity, not just of the village people and, you know, society in general, but also of the sisters and their view of the world. I have to say, it was a very fascinating and very uncomfortable book to read. Which, I mean, Shirley Jackson, she does that discomfiting, right? Isn't that a word? Discomfit? Okay, I don't know. Anyway, she does that tense, uncomfortable thing. She did it with The Haunting of Hill House. She did it with We Have Always Lived in the Castle. She did it with The Lottery. If you haven't read The Lottery, dude, you could end up feeling so uncomfortable in that book. And she really does it so well. And there were times in the book where I'm sitting there and I'm questioning, you know, Constance and Mary Cat and wondering what the heck they are doing. You know, who are these people? They are so weird. Then there are other times where, you know, you sit and you question the village people, the townspeople, and society. And why are you behaving like this? Why do you have to be so horrible? And it's just a really fascinating read. It can be a little slow at times. You know, it's not super duper plot driven. It's definitely more emotional and character centric than it is necessarily plot. However, still totally worth reading. I actually have to get the hard copy because I would love to sit down and actually reread it so I can, you know, actually read the hard copy. But I really enjoyed it. It was fascinating. It was different. Shirley Jackson, she's easily becoming one of my favorite characters. Oh my gosh, one of my favorite authors. I need to actually pick up more of her stuff to read. I haven't read The Lottery in a while. I need to actually pick that up as well. But anyway, We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. Excellent, excellent book. If you want something disturbing and uncomfortable, you should definitely read it because it's really cool and really good. Okay, so last but not least, we have The Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Roberson. Rogerson. Oh my gosh. Whew. One of those days, if you know what I mean. Okay. So she also wrote An Enchantment of Ravens, which I do own. I just haven't read it yet. But actually one of my friends here in the neighborhood, she's a high schooler. Her name is Sarah. She actually got this in an Owl Crate box. She got the like super cool special edition Owl Crate cover. And when she showed me the box, the crate, and everything that was in it, I actually read the synopsis of this book and I was like, dang, that sounds absolutely fantastic. I need to buy it and I need to read it. Elizabeth Scrivener is actually working at one of the great libraries. She grew up there. She was actually found as a baby on the steps of the library, and so the librarians had then raised her. She's a little bit of a rebel, a little bit of a troublemaker. And then all of a sudden she finds herself in this huge web of conspiracy and deceit. And she's probably, you know, one of the only ones who actually has, you know, the threat identified. She ends up meeting, oh gosh, let me make sure I'm actually, Nathaniel Thorne, who is a sorcerer who she has always been taught are inherently evil, are inherently dangerous. You should not mess with them. And if she even speaks to a sorcerer, her position at the library could be compromised. However, he is the only person who believes her, the only person who can help her in this quest to quell the threat to the libraries and to the land. And I have to say, I really, really enjoyed this book. The pacing was excellent. It was like this nice roller coaster that kept everything flowing. You know, just as soon as something crazy would happen, it would calm down a little. But then something crazy would happen and then it would calm down a little. And the story itself was really good. I found it interesting. I found it different. The characters were all engaging. The setting was marvelous. And I really, really liked it. I realize that there are other people who didn't. Suleika and I have had this conversation. I said before, we have identified that we have completely opposite tastes. So we need to start, you know, listen, Suleika, what we need to do is we need to actually have this thing where if one of us doesn't like a book, we should just automatically send it to the other, because it's pretty much guaranteed that the other person is gonna like it. Which is good, because that means we get to cover more books there you go. So there's no point, if Suleika likes something, there's no point in me reading it because I know that I'm not gonna like it. And you know what? That's okay. Because I have this feeling that she has better taste than I do anyway. She's also more mature than I am. I love you. Okay. Anyway, I really, really enjoyed this book. I liked it. The cover is absolutely gorgeous. It's an engaging read, and I would actually say that this is a pretty good one for teenagers. There is a little bit of adult things that have been thrown in, but it's not too explicit. And I would say that actually, if you've got a teenager, you could go ahead and give them this book. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was really good. So there you go. Yes. And now I need to read Enchantment of Ravens by Rogerson because hopefully it's good. Hopefully I'll get it. Because as we've said, I'm not that philosophically deep. So the fact that I can somehow read Neil Shusterman and get it is a miracle in itself. So I don't know. Okay, so there we go. There we have August reads for Kim. I must say I'm rather impressed with myself. Not bad. Not bad at all. So what is that? 11 books read in a month? Okay. More like 10 and a quarter because the way Age of Darkness was kind of little, but it's still a book, so we're still going to count it. So 11 books for August. Woohoo! Okay, so now we have Worst and Least. Oh gosh. Oh guys, that's going to be really, really hard. Okay, for least, I think I'm going to have to say The Daughter's Tale. It's kind of between The Orphan of Salt Winds and The Daughter's Tale, but I will say that one thing that The Orphan of Salt Winds actually had going for it is the fact that it wasn't until the end that I realized how dissatisfied I was. Unfortunately, The Daughter's Tale, it kept cropping up in my mind through the whole book where I'm going, is this really how it was? Is it, you know, little posh for, you know, all this. Do people really honestly think like that? And which is so horrible because the story had so much potential and the description really got me going. So I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's not that I didn't enjoy reading it. I really did enjoy reading it. It's just, okay. Let's stop talking about that because I really don't like having to be like that. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh my gosh. And then I aspirate. I will say that my favorite of the month, I'm going to have to say The Bookish Life of Nina Hill. This book absolutely drew me in. I laughed every other page. I mean, the dialogue was so cute. If I interacted with people like that, I would probably be more popular than I am now. But I don't, hence I'm not that popular, and I'm totally okay with it. Anyway, so this book, it cracked me up. I loved it so much. If you're a book nerd, you should probably read it and enjoy it. Unfortunately, there was another person on Goodreads that I guess didn't really like this book, which was really sad. Maybe my standards just aren't that high. Is that what it is? If I'm the least bit entertained that I consider it a good book, is that my problem? I don't even know. I don't know. Anyway, the Bookish Life of Nina Hill, by Abby Waxman. Oh boy, you guys. This might be our most unprofessional video so far. Okay. Anyway, so that is my most favorite of the month. Okay. So there we go. That is the month of August. Make sure that you tell us what you have been reading down in the comments. If you like the idea of trying a drunk video featuring yours truly, then make sure you tell us about that too. If you don't want to see it, then there's no point in doing it because I'd probably just end up with a hangover anyway. So we'll see. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you've been reading. We love hearing from you. And we will see you next month for the September book haul. And hope everybody survived the hurricane okay, because I know that we have some people who were in its path. So yes, there you go. That is August, and everyone have an excellent September. Get a lot of good reading in, and we love you guys very much. Bye.